Hello, everyone. If you're listening to this, then you are doing so because you want to learn how to write poetry. You want to improve your poetry. And yeah, this was initially meant to be a video, but I've had terrible, very terrible experience with my camera, so it has to be an audio for now until I can get a camera or something. Anyway, I hope I hope this helps. I hope this still reaches people the way I wanted to. I almost didn't do this, but I because I made a promise, and I really do want what I've learned over the years to reach people. So here goes. Um, First of all, let's define poetry. Poetry to me is the expression of feelings. All right, it's the expression of feelings, and feelings come in many ways, just like poetry exists in many ways. Um, so yeah, the expression of feelings. And what makes a poem beautiful to me personally is its design, right? I've been saying this for a while now. I think poets are designers. We design uh the things you see, the words you see, and that's what really makes people attracted to poems. It's funny when like we poets, when you really just look at it, we're all using everyday words. We're all using everyday words. We're just making them look extremely beautiful. And so I've broken down poetry into a few things that define it for me, and that's how I'm able to keep writing. So I'm going to try to be slow here. So mark these things down. That that's word placement. All right, word sound, word choice, and aesthetics. Doesn't have to be in order. I'll just say it again. Word placement, word choice, word sound, and aesthetics. I guess a better way to say it is word choice, word sound, word placement, and aesthetics. I will repeat this again. Word choice, word sound, word placement, and aesthetics. I guess that comes more in order in a sense. So yeah, since poetry is all about words, you have to be very conscious about the words you pick. And I say this because unlike music where you have an instrument which you're writing to, with poetry it's just words. And unless you write your words in ways that people are able to, just catch the feelings of what you're saying deeply, they won't really understand you. And yeah, that's why you have to be very conscious of the words you use, be very conscious of the way you display them, and yeah, word placement and design. I said poets are designers, and it really just goes beyond the expression of words, or the way they are displayed when it comes to design. Because when you really think about it, the way you react to an emotional poem is designed by the poets, because they have chosen these words to design the way you're also going to react. And the same goes for spoken word poetry. When you have pauses, when you have poems where they speak silently, then they speak loudly. So that alternation, everything there is just design, right? It's the poet doing something so intricate and methodical and consciously to affect you, the listener, or the viewer, or the reader. And that's really what it all just boils down to. Now, for first time poets, or for people, it doesn't matter how long you've been writing poetry, something I think you should do is, rather than just reading poetry, because when we say poetry in general, we normally assume reading poetry, also listen to poetry. Listen to spoken word performances. You don't have to be there in person. You could watch them online, but like doing that at the same time or simultaneously really helps you get a faster way of learning, like getting it really gets your brain to really know the power of words. And that like is like when you're writing and you've been doing so much of reading and also listening at the same time, your brain kind of picks words easier, right? Like from your everyday conversations or even just original thoughts, it's much easier for your brain to relate to words, to know the right words to pick, because it's not just seeing the words, it's hearing the words. So when studying poetry, don't just read poetry, listen to poetry as well. What else do I want to say? Yeah, it's practice, just like every other art, endless practice. um Keep writing with feedback. I would say feedback is good. Feedback is good, especially in groups of like friends, close friends. But be careful of feedback that isn't constructive, because that can really affect how you work, right? There are times when, art in general is a very sensitive thing, and artists are usually sensitive. There's a time when someone's feedback can make you not want to write anymore, or make you want to influence how you write, to the point that you eventually end up killing your own style in a sense. And yeah, that's not a very good thing. So unless the feedback is constructive, don't really pay attention to it. Like everyone is going to have their own style, and everyone is going to look at things from their own lens or from their own view. So although perspective is beautiful at the same time, but yeah, keep your poetry close to your heart and just write what you feel. Also, your poem doesn't have to be about you. That's one beautiful thing about poetry. If you read novels, which I think every poet should, or I assume every poet does read novels, because poetry doesn't just come in verse these days, it's also in prose. If you read novels, you would have a much more easier time writing poems that are not about you, because yeah, it's just creating fiction but doing so in poetry form. That helps you have more material. Like I have thousands of poems, I'm not kidding. And that's because I have so many poems that are not about me. But they're just so real. It feels so real, and people ask me like, "Oh, did this happen to you?" Or I relate with this, but like it never even really happened to me. So yeah, there are endless ways to improve your poetry. There are endless ways to keep writing. There are endless ways to have ideas about poetry. I hope this has been able to help someone out there, even if it's one person. I'll be glad, because I know I ramble a lot, and I'm not the very best at expressing myself in like linear form, or a form that's straightforward somewhat. But yeah, I hope this helps, and if there are any questions, feel free to ask. I will answer. Is anything you'd like me to touch on more in later at a later time, please feel free to say. Yeah, that's basically it all. Poetry is about conscious choice, and poetry is about the design of words. Thank you for listening, and I hope this helps. If this lesson has helped you, please subscribe and share it with everyone else. Thank you.